15 years, blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
This is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Repeat, this is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways.
Do not panic. Do not panic. We've got the quirky films for your quarantine blues. Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Put those earplugs in, folks. We're headed for musical Drak.
Yeah.
On this edition of Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
This is our substitute show while the theaters are closed, or mostly closed, and we are not catching new movies, and we're going to continue this probably through the rest of the summer.
While we're trying to avoid catching anything else.
Yes.
And we hope everybody else is keeping safe, too.
We are catching a few movies on demand, but most of them are older classic stuff,
Yeah.
although there's some new stuff we should be doing. But this is not one of them. This is not one of the ones we would call a classic, and it's so big I could only get the first two words onto the marquee because otherwise it looked really weird. But we've suffered through it before, and you heard us talk about it a few years ago on our musical Masochistic March. It's just that kind of a movie. 1978's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have to be honest. Compared to some other bad musicals, this one isn't that terrible. There's other ones that are worse.
In this one...
But at least the music's good.
See,
the
that's
movie
the thing.
itself is bad. The music that they did for the album is not bad. The remakes are not bad. That's something.
That's the thing.
That's about everything, but
we
that's
have
something.
we have had to brave for our other show, Subject Cinema. We do Masochistic March, and one year we did all about terrible musicals.
Yes, and in addition to this film, we did a movie from 1980 called The Apple. We did the god-awful 1981 film Grease 2. And what was the other one?
I don't remember now.
Can't Stop the Music.
Can't Stop the Music, yeah.
Which also isn't that bad of a film.
Compared to what?
I mean, well, it was on its way. The Village People were on their way out, but the movie itself is just kind of dorky and fun.
Yeah.
Of all of those, the only one that was absolutely so bad it's terrible, and I understand the cult following it has, because our friend Michael Colford is a huge fan. The Apple is just atrocious.
That movie left the both of us just sitting there with our mouths dropped open, like,
and it's actually
are
been
you
showing
kidding?
Somewhere lately on one of the pay networks.
Which is the thing that really makes Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band kind of sad to talk about on a show like this, because what do we always say here on Captive Audience Theater?
If we have to suffer, you have to suffer.
The thing that makes it really sad with this movie is the fact that the music in this, all these songs written by the Beatles are great songs. The performances are really pretty good for the most part.
It's the intertwining material that sucks.
One of them just flat out made me bawl, and the other one made me want to just run my head into the wall. But we'll get to that
Which
later.
you can't always say about stuff like that, because they did make a movie in the 1970s of The Who's Tommy.
Yeah.
The movie, I like it. I know you don't. It's completely different from the Broadway version, but the music there is less than perfect.
It is. The Broadway version of the stage version of Tommy, which we have seen 3 times.
Yep.
And was awesome all the time.
We saw it twice with Steve Isaacs in the lead, and once with Star Search winner Jake Simpson.
Hi, Jake.
It was
you were awesome.
fantastic.
You were
all
awesome
3
too,
times.
Steve. But yeah, I loved the stage version of Tommy. The movie version of Tommy, I was just sitting there going, "What the?"
And I don't mind the movie.
You know, I'm sorry.
It leaves out a lot of stuff.
Tina Turner or no Tina Turner, I cannot get the imagery from Anne Margaret out of my head from that movie. Anyway, moving on to this.
What, champagne?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Anyway.
Oh, sweet Maria.
Let's get back to Sgt. Pepper.
Anyway, yeah, okay. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which is up there with titles that will make you choke if you don't have enough words in.
Well, it's not, hey, won't you play another Somebody Done Somebody Wrong song?
No, and it's also not the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up zombies. And wow, I really should have taken a breath before I did that, because now I have little gray spots in front of my eyes.
You couldn't get through the longest song title of all time with one breath.
Whew. Okay, I'll bite. What's the longest song title of all time? She asked stupidly.
Because of American copyright laws, every single song featured in the Stars on 45 medley has to be listed as the title. So it's called Intravenous blah 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 every song / Stars on 45. It's 41 words long.
Oh.
Overseas it's just called Stars on 45 Beatles medley. It's like, are you kidding me?
Great.
Anyway.
Moogly. Anyway. So, the story of this film takes place in the town of Heartland, USA. Which is this place that is just absolutely, well, let's just call it what it is. Perfect. It's a perfect town. Everybody's happy. Everyone's content with their lives, and everything seems to be wonderful, and it's just heaven on earth. Now, the reason why it's such a nice place, as it turns out, is not because of, steady jobs, good schools, strong interfaith community, whatever. No, it's a bunch of instruments. The reason that the town is so wonderful is because of Sgt. Pepper and his band. This was a band that lived in the town, and they played music, and everybody loved them. And one of the performances, the performance where the new weather vane was being dedicated to Sgt. Pepper, he dropped dead during the performance. The thing is, he left his music, the musical instruments of the town and everything like that were left to the town, and as long as the musical instruments stayed in the town, everything would be, great. The legacy of this has all been passed down to his grandson, Billy Shears, who is this just all-American boy.
Played by a British guy.
Yeah.
And his all-American friends, played by Australian guys.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And thus,
actually, British turned Australian guys.
And thus the headache beginneth. Billy Shears decides that he's going to reform the band. They're going to be a new band for the new generation. We all know how well stuff with new in front of it goes. New code.
Well, sometimes it works.
And most of the time it doesn't.
Well, sometimes it does, though.
Anyway, so he decides to get the band going with his friends, the Henderson brothers, Mark, Dave, and Bob. Yeah, because those sound
well, those are very stereotypical Midwestern names.
I get it.
Okay.
You think
and
of
Billy,
when you think of names of movie heroes, Indiana Jones, Luke Skywalker, James Bond, Bob Henderson.
Yeah, but see, you got. Yeah, you got your big funky name. In the movie, it's Billy's girlfriend, Strawberry Fields.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yay, sugar! I had a donut for breakfast, can you tell? Anyway, so the thing is, the band which gets put together, and everyone's all super happy and excited. The band is managed by Billy's half-brother, a guy named Dougie. Now, Dougie is a bit of a ne'er-do-well, which you could kind of understand, because he's grown up basically in Billy's shadow, and Billy is, the all-American boy, and also because he's a grown man calling himself Dougie. No offense to any grown men calling themselves Dougie, but this was the 70s, and that just seems strange. So, the band gets put together, it's a big rousing success, and everybody loves their music, to the point where it spreads out beyond Heartland, and it gets to the ear of B.D. Hoffler, who is the CEO of Big Deal Records. Because apparently calling it Evil McComco Corp, didn't fit on a, business card.
MC doesn't work well as BD does.
Whatever. So, he shows up in town and makes all these promises that he's going to make this new band, the next big thing and all that. So, Billy and the guys, Billy and the Henderson brothers leave Heartland, and Billy, bids a tearful goodbye to his girlfriend, Strawberry Fields. I guess calling her Lady Madonna just would have been too strange. So off they head to the Sodom of America, also known as Hollywood, if you listen to certain evangelical Christians, and BD manages to get them signed to a contract, and also introduces them to the other new band that he is, selling to the public, Lucy and her Diamonds. And what follows from there is a whirlwind of drugs and sex and debauchery and all the things that make America great.
And everything going wrong in Heartland.
Yeah, meanwhile, back in Heartland, Mr. Mustard, who must relish his job because he's a real hot dog. Please make it stop. Oh, good grief.
You'll catch up eventually.
Ooh.
You just relish the challenge.
I already did that one. That doesn't count. It's not a picnic coming up with these jokes, folks. Anyway, moving on. Oh, God, make it stop. Mr. Mustard and his henchman, the Brute, whose real name is Cyril. No, it isn't. It's not Cyril. I'm just kidding. Although in this movie, you would not be surprised.
It probably could be.
Yeah. They sneak into Heartland and they steal the instruments, and they're working with this other evil band that we find out about at the end of the film and all this stuff like that. And the minute after these things leave, the instruments leave, Heartland goes straight into the toilet faster than you can say a la peanut butter sandwiches.
And who plays the evil band?
That's the part about me. You remember when I mentioned me running my head into the wall?
The evil band is Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Called Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So this continues onward, and eventually ending in a musical duel between the evil future band played by Aerosmith and the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, who shake off the chains of debauchery and come back to their own roots and stuff like that, with the apparent life of Strawberry on the line. The whole thing...
And the end gets ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole thing ends in an ending that if you've seen the film Zatoichi, this ending will make you go, what the F, even more.
Yeah, but at least Zatoichi's entertaining.
Yeah, at least Zatoichi...
This one's like, my head's exploding.
Yeah, at least Zatoichi at least had sword fights and beat Takeshi. This has... I don't even want to talk about who's in this movie. Oh, God.
Okay, here we go. From the cast list... Peter Frampton as Billy Shears, the Bee Gees, Barry, Robin, and Morris Gibb as the Henderson Brothers, Steve Martin as Dr. Maxwell Edison, Frankie Howard as Mean Mr. Mustard, Paul Nicholas as Dougie Shears, Donald Pleasance as BD, Sandy Farina as Strawberry Fields, Diane Steinberg as Lucy, with the band Stargard as the Diamonds, Aerosmith as Future Villain Band, FVB, Alice Cooper as Father-Son, Earth, Wind, and Fire as themselves. That was a good gig. Billy Preston as the Magical Weather Vane, along with appearances by Anna Rodozenko, Rose Aragon, Carol Stroiken, who plays Brute. Carol is known for Star Trek and stuff.
Mr. Holmes.
Patty Jerome, Max Showalter, John Wheeler, J.W. McIntosh, Eleanor Z., Patrick Crenshaw, Terry Lee Wood, and Tracy Justrich. And at the very end of the movie, this is going to take a minute, there is this
You're not really going to do this, are you?
There's a big celebration where they have all these current celebrities, 1978, current celebrities, out there singing the title theme with them. And they're all pictured, and they're all part of the show, and all of them are cheering the end of the movie and how great the happy ending is.
Spoiler alert, there's a happy ending.
Yeah,
so.
well, we figured that out. So, joining Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band as special guests for the Heartland bit of it.
Sit down, folks.
In alphabetical order, it is Peter Allen, Keith Allison, George Benson, Elvin Bishop, Stephen Bishop, Jack Bruce, Keith Carradine, Carol Channing, Charlotte Sharon, and Ula, and they're in quotes, I don't know who they are, Jim Dandy of Black Oak, Arkansas, Sarah Dash, Rick Derringer, Barbara Dixon, Donovan, Dr. John, Randy Edelman, Yvonne Elliman, Jose Feliciano, Leif Garrett, Adrian Gervitz, Billy Harper, Eddie Harris, Hart, Nona Hendricks, Barry Humphries as Dame Edna Everidge, his first appearance in that role in America, I believe. Etta James, oh God, why? Bruce Johnston, Joe Lala, D.C. LaRue, Joe Leb, Marcy Levy, Mark Lindsay, Nils Lofgren, John Mayhall, Bruce Mayfield, Bruce Morrow, cousin Brucey, Peter Noon of Herman's, Alan O'Day, Lee Oscar, the Paley Brothers, Robert Palmer, Wilson Pickett, Anita Pointer, Bonnie Raitt, Helen Reddy, Minnie Ripperton, Cheetah Rivera, Johnny Rivers, Monty Rock III, oh Lord, really? Danielle Rowe, Seals and Crofts, Shauna Na, Del Shannon, Joe Simon, Connie Stevens, Al Stewart, John Stewart, Tina Turner, Frankie Valli, Gwen Verdon, Diane Vincent, Grover Washington Jr., Alan White, Lenny White, Jackie Lomax. How did Lomax get in the W's? Margaret Whiting, Hank Williams Jr., Johnny Winter, Wolfman Jack, Bobby Womack, and Gary Wright. Whew! Yeah. And how many of these people still have a star somewhere?
That's not nice.
Well, no, I'm saying this was clearly a...
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time several of them have passed away. Anita Pointer just last week.
Yeah.
But this was the last thing Minnie Ripperton did before she passed away. And, a number of these other places. But some of these people, Gwen Verdon? Really? Carol Channing? Dame Edna? What?
I don't know.
Where do they fit into this? I'm just like, okay. Anyway, I imagine that had something to do with Frampton and the Bee Gees because they were living in England and she was popular over
I guess.
There, so
I don't know.
He was popular.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, no. Okay.
So.
Oh, boy. Okay. This film,
This film hurts. The music is good.
So much.
But it's pretty much a rock opera because there's very little dialogue.
Yeah. In fact, I think pretty much the only dialogue you get is George Burns, isn't...
Well, there's some spoken words here and there, but most of it is strictly through the music. Mm-hmm. And it is this movie and his performance of whatever song he did, George Burns, that got his country album
Digging
deal
a Hole.
with Mercury Records that led to I Wish I Was 18 Again and all that stuff. He had 3 albums out in the 80s.
Okay, this film is a rock opera in the fact that most of it's sung and you feel by the end of it as though you've been hit in the head with a box of rocks. Oh my gosh. Like I mentioned at the start of this, the thing about this film that makes it, there are a multitude of things about this film that make it depressing. One of the things that makes it so depressing is that you've got these incredible songs, and for the most part, they're usually being sung by people who can really, really sing, and they do a good job with them. Mm-hmm. It's just that the rest of the movie is wrapped up in so much WTF.
Yeah, it is. It really is. A lot of the songs became hits despite the fact that the movie did bomb at the box office when it came out. Robin Gibb had a top 20 solo hit with his cover of Oh Darling. Aerosmith had their biggest hit of the late 70s with their cover of Come Together.
Yeah.
And Earth, Wind & Fire's version of Got to Get You Into My Life was top 10.
Speaking of, they were actually not the original people that they wanted cast as the future evil band. That honor was going to go to Kiss. And they said no.
And that was the smartest thing they ever did. Of course, they turned around and made Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
Yeah, which, although it's goofy as hell, is
bad.
not as crazy as this.
It's a terrible movie, though.
It's awful. It is. And that's coming from a member of the Kiss Army.
Yeah.
Another reason this movie is so painful, just speaking as myself, I mentioned earlier when we started this that there were parts of this movie that made me want to cry. The parts of this film that make me want to cry buckets are any scenes with Alice Cooper in them.
This was shot right before Alice went into rehab for a number of months.
Yes.
And got cleaned up, and he does
literally
not look
he
well
went
here.
he was in the hospital. He got leave from the hospital, which was actually more of a mental institution, which is not a bad thing.
Oh,
mental
so he was
health
already there.
Yeah, he was already there. Because he was wrestling with alcoholism at the time. And good grief, can you tell in this film? It physically hurts my heart to see how ill Alice looks in this movie. You know, because I am an
come
enormous...
back, though, before the end of the year with How You Gonna See Me Now, which
is from
hits in several...
Tales from the Inside, which is based on his time in that place.
Right.
But it's just, you see him in this movie, and I'm like, good grief. Oh my gosh. You know, because it was weird, because when I was very young, I became an Alice Cooper fan thanks to The Muppet Show. And then as I got older, I started listening to more of his stuff and finding more out about him, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know he'd been so ill. And then I saw this movie, and I was like, oh wow. You know, but oh man, this movie is just this movie. Oh, I'm sorry. People always talk about how, well, one person wants to do something else. People who act want to direct. People who do this want to do that, and all this stuff like that. And some people who sing should stick to it.
And some people
and not
who act should stick to it.
Oh yeah.
Because then you end up with Pierce Brosnan butchering SOS and Mamma Mia. And then you
end up with this movie with the Bee Gees acting.
Yeah.
Quote.
Peter actually is not a half bad actor. Peter had done a couple episodes of Baba Black Sheep or Black Sheep Squadron earlier before this movie came out, so people got a chance to see him act, and he was actually not bad. But oh god, the Bee Gees can't act their way out of it.
I mean, it's very difficult. Can't. Not for nothing, and I'm not trying to cast
no
aspersions.
Offense, Barry. I know you're the only one left.
No,
I'm sorry.
no offense to the Gibbs at all. They could only work with what they had, and it's, you know, and also not trying to cast aspersions on Peter Frampton, but really, it's not very difficult to play, you know, the average all-American kid, even if you're from another country.
You have a problem when you have a movie that's centered around a rock band, and the best performance in the film is Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Doing Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah, singing a song about being a serial killer. Yay. I don't. Wow.
As a dentist, which would I believe was he also?
Well, no. The character is more or less. I think.
Is he a regular doctor? Because I know he went on.
More of like
it's a very similar version to the dentist he played in Little Shop of Horrors.
I kind of look at it. I looked at that whole scene as more or less taking the mick out of psychiatry.
Oh, could be. I don't know.
That was my take on it.
But he is dynamite, and he's only in that one
scene. Yeah.
And he's dynamite, but
Well, they just let him go out there.
Yeah, they let him go out there and be Steve Martin.
They let him go out there and be that Steve Martin, the 70s
wild and crazy guy. Yeah.
Go look it up, kids.
Not the distinguished actor and the distinguished playwright and banjo player.
Yeah.
But Steve Martin, the wild and crazy comedian from the 70s.
Ask your parents.
Oh, stop. It's not that old.
Actually, ask your grandparents. I mean, oh, that hurt. Oh, that really actually hurt. Ow.
Yeah, Steven Tyler didn't look the best here either. He was going through some severe drug problems at the time. I have to say, though, the soundtrack album, the music, the performances of the music is all pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't... It was more of the framing devices that they used.
If you sat there
really just took the crap out of this film.
If you sat there and just shut your eyes,
if you listen to the soundtrack
great.
album, it's fine. I mean,
if you watch
Frampton's
the movie,
more than
oh my
confident on the
gosh,
Beatles songs, and
Yeah.
you get some comedy takes from George Burns and from Steve Martin.
Right.
Sandy Farina, who has not had major roles in acting since this film, but she remains a powerhouse in jingle and TV music singing. She co-wrote "Kiss Me in the Rain," which was one of Barbra Streisand's early '80s hits. It was she was a problem also when it came to acting. So. Paul Nicholas was fine, and Paul Nicholas has always been, he's an actor by trade anyway, as well as a singer. So it's pretty bad when you have the main leaders of the band and their lead singer, and the one that stands out as the actor is the goofy guy playing the manager.
Yeah. Well, it's Donald Pleasance, isn't it?
No. That's the boss.
The
manager
record.
Dougie is Paul
Dougie,
Nicholas,
yeah.
and Paul Nicholas is great. And
apparently because
everything.
apparently they couldn't get Darby Hinton, because that's basically the kind of.
Yeah, that's the kind
Sorry,
of role Darby
Darby
Hinton would come known for in like Angel's Revenge a year later.
Sorry, Darby. But man, this
and
movie.
People are going, who?
Yeah.
If you want to know,
Misty fans.
If you want to know who Darby Hinton is, look it up on IMDb. When he was a child actor, he was actually quite respected. Now he's best known probably as Dakota's father. Dakota's an actor too, so. It's like, okay. Anyway,
back to this.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? Oh, I think it's about time we take this off of the turntable and decide what category it's going to be going in.
Go ahead.
So, the category that we're going to put this in for Captive Audience Theater is Who Asked for This? It's a little bit of who asked for this and also jumping on the bandwagon with the whole idea. The concept album was a real big thing in the 70s. You know, you had Kiss's Music from the Elder. You had a little later...
Music from the Elder came out in the 80s, and concept album started really got launched in mid-60s with the Pet Sounds album from the Beach Boys.
Right. But they really started taking off in the 70s. Then in the 80s, you had, like I said, Music from the Elder. You had Kilroy Was Here from Styx and all these other albums like that.
I still think Kilroy would make a dynamite Broadway musical.
But, this was another let's take a concept album and put it on screen. No! It's
Sgt. Pepper is considered a concept album by some people. I personally don't think of
why.
it that way. It's them performing. It has the minor concept of the band running through it, but it's not really related to the songs. As Kilroy Was Here was, or any of the other ones.
Yeah, if you were going to put it, I think it's actually been on an off-Broadway Sgt. Pepper on the Road or something like that.
Well, that's what Robert Stigwood wanted to do originally, and he ended up doing this instead.
Yeah, it would be kind of a jukebox musical kind of a deal, and that might actually work, but this didn't work.
It's to the Beatles' music justice are best done in the Beatles' Love, which is Cirque du Soleil show that is seen in Vegas.
Yep.
The soundtrack, the remixes by the late George Martin, who worked directly with them on it, were absolutely fantastic, and I would love to see that show. Even though I'm not the biggest Beatles fan in the world, I like all their hits, but I don't deep dive into some of their stuff like other people do. I was a little bit later. I grew up a little bit later to be really influenced by them, but I recognize their classic contributions, and that would be something, and it's a shame. At the time, all of them were still around to have to witness it.
Yep.
We'll get on out of here now. We'll have more classically bad films coming up in the weeks and months ahead. Just coming up in the next week, we'll try to get 2 or 3 more shows up, and we got a list of stuff we're going to do. If you've got an idea for something you'd like us to do here on Captive Audience Theater, by all means, drop us a line, subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. Don't forget to check out all of our stuff online. Kim is on Twitter at PlatinumRoseL. I am at eCinema1, and also eCinema Boston and TKR Online for my music site. We also have a variety of other shows out there, including Kim's wrestling show, Ring Around the Rosie, Kim's supernatural show, Platinum Rose's Garden, currently on hiatus, but you've got plenty to listen to from the past 10 seasons. Kim's role-play show, Platinum Rose Roleplay, over on YouTube, and my disaster show, Catastrophe Vortex, and right now, Just Tuesday Digidex 3-Minute Weekend is on hiatus until the end of the pandemic when the movies start coming out again. There isn't really enough to do much with on that. And, of course, visit all of our websites, eCinema 1, eCinema Boston, The Kirkham Report, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Any more?
No, I think that ought to do it. Other than we want everybody out there to stay safe and just, try and... There's a lot of crazy things going on.
Remember, even though things are loosening up, it's still... safe protocol. Mask up when you're outside unless you're eating at an outdoor restaurant. Don't do anything silly. And always wash your hands for 20 seconds. Sing happy birthday twice. And make sure you're doing that. And
also make sure that you...
She forgot. She's been doing it every show.
Oh, call your grandma.
There we go.
Sorry. Sorry, John.
For Captive Audience Theater, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
You've been listening to Subject Cinema Presents Captive Audience Theater with Kim Brown and T.C. Kirkham. Produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts.
$15 blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com